Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to a new video. Today we'll be talking about this latest album from Baroness titled Gold and Grey. This is the 5th studio album from heavy metal outfit from Savannah, Georgia, Baroness. The last we heard of this group was back in 2012 when they released their fantastic Purple album. Prior to Purple being released, they released a 2-disc album titled Yellow and Green. With this album, you might think, oh, it's a 2-disc endeavor. Well, not quite. There are 17 tracks on this album, but it totals just about an hour long. It is their longest single-disc project yet, but not their longest album. That would go to Yellow and Green. I was going into this album quite excited. Purple was a fantastic record. It was everything great about Baroness in a 10-track, 40-minute album. It was a fantastic record and release. So going into this album, I thought, okay, can we get another one of that? Can we? No, this is not another Purple. In fact, this is anything far from their best project yet. In fact, it could possibly be their worst project that they have put out thus far. It is chock full of very unnecessary instrumental tracks that, while I'm not, the hugest fan of instrumental tracks on an album, I don't mind them if they're in moderation. There's 5 or 6 instrumental tracks on this thing that kind of just clog the track listing. 17 tracks on this album. Might as well make it a 2-disc album. I don't know what's stopping them. But besides the instrumental releases, the album has some really great guitars and drums, percussion. There's a lot of great instrumentation across this album on a good amount of tracks. I would say a majority of the tracks on this album, very slightly, has a really good set of instrumentation from guitars, bass, drums. There's a lot of that stuff here, but it is ruined with the composition. No, that's not the word. It's ruined with the compression. The amount of compression used on a good deal of these tracks it is so blown out. It's like you're listening to bad speakers. Like you're listening to this album through really cheap or really broken speakers. It's bad. And it's a shame because there's some really good songwriting within these songs and some of the best within the Baroness discography, but it's just ruined with the overcompressed, overproduced kind of sound that's on most of these songs. It is not at all flattering. It's not at all flattering. The tracks that are enjoyable, like the last track and the subsequent track after that, which don't have the brittle, crumbly compression that is on almost the rest of this album, they're really good. They're strong tracks that kind of carry most of this album, but really you kind of have to listen to this album on a laptop to kind of enjoy it, because if you listen to anything Beat speakers, you're not going to find this album enjoyable. It's just crunchy in the ear. It's just like you're just taking a bag of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and just... It is seriously, at the worst points, that bad. Most of the time, it's listenable. You can forget about it if you kind of drain it out, but it's very obvious it's there, so it's gonna be hard to do that. But at its worst points, the one thing that I also find to be very hard listening through with this album is that it gets quite boring, and that's back into the instrumental tracks on this album, which are somewhat tedious, very long-winded sometimes. I just don't really see why Baroness had to clog up the track listing with this many amount of songs. Easily take out 5 or 6 of these songs and you could have had a more condensed, consolidated album that would have probably gone a lot better because it wasn't so long-winded. This is, like I said, their longest single-disc endeavor thus far, so it's gonna have to engage you throughout the entire listen, or at least most of the listen. But not with me. I just kind of got really bored after, like, once you got to the midway point. You just, okay, yeah, all of these are overcompressed, overdone, and bloated and blown out to these crazy proportions, in my opinion. Overall, my thoughts on this album really come down to bad production choices, great instrumentation throughout most of this album, but ruined with the production, good songwriting as well, and very bloated. So, it's a no for me. Slightly enjoying it, but that's about it. I'll give this album a C plus, being somewhat generous. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this album down below. Let me know what albums you want me to review next. And leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a great day. Baroness, Golden Gray. Until next time.